Hello, poop shoot. I'm gonna go fast today. I'm gonna talk fast because this happened on my last iPhone as well. As soon as it got to a certain age, it started being full on space all the time, even though I keep it cleared off and I don't really add many apps to it and I offload everything I'm not using. But it doesn't matter. The older it gets, it's like the more clogged it gets, and you can't seem to unclog it, right? So I'm gonna try and go fast and keep this to 20 minutes max. Been up to a lot of stuff lately. Got a lot of stuff done. Here we go. First up, went to Indigo a while back, found out they wrote, there's been some stories written in a certain universe that I didn't know was available, and it is Firefly, this book called Big Damn Hero. This actually takes place within the Firefly timeline after, I forget now which episode it actually comes after, but it is slotted in there somewhere. And this picks up as the crew of the Firefly are on the world of Persephone, and they're taking on a new job from a kind of a little crime boss named Badger, who they've done work with before. They've got to transfer these highly volatile weapons or chemicals or something like that. Now, while they're on Persephone, Mal, Captain Malcolm Reynolds, also gets contacted by a guy named Hunter Covington, who wants him to take on a job as well, a side job. So Mal and Zoe are at a cantina along with Jane, and they're going to meet with this hunter guy. And so Mal goes out in the alley to meet with him while they stay in the cantina. And Mal actually gets abducted by this guy, or a contact of this guy, not actually Hunter Covington, but somebody associated with him. And suddenly Zoe and Jane are like, oh god, Mal's gone. So it's kind of a wild goose chase trying to find out what happened to him, but at the same time they've got this really volatile cargo on the Firefly that they have to deliver before it blows their whole ship up and something goes wrong like that. So Zoe has to come to this decision to abandon Mal for now, deliver the cargo, and then come back and pick up the trail for him. So they don't totally leave Mal totally hung out to dry. They actually, Shepherd Book goes down to the surface of Persephone and actually picks up where Zoe left off in searching for Mal. And while Zoe and the rest of the crew are off dealing with their shipment, Shepherd Book is on the planet tracking down leads, and it all kind of, the action all culminates on I believe a moon in Persephone's system there or whatever, where Mal has actually been taken captive by a team of disgruntled browncoats who he... the hell was that? Something just fell down over there and there's nobody down here, so ghost. The Browncoats is who he fought for in the war against the Alliance, but they're taking him in for treason and stuff like that, and trying him and stuff like that. And there's a certain someone at the forefront of this witch hunt for Mal that's kind of planted all the evidence and has a personal vendetta against him. So it's basically kind of, can Mal's crew catch up and save him in time, or will he be executed by this fiend before they can do so? The book was amazing. It on the back cover it says, this reads like a lost episode from the show, and it really does. It just fits right in seamlessly, and is a pretty cool Firefly adventure, which is awesome because there's only one season and there should have been a ton more, but hey, we all know how that went. Next up, The Rise of Skywalker Expanded Edition. So this book is just based on the Rise of Skywalker movie, which is the last one in the third trilogy that kind of ties everything off. At the start of the movie, there's been this announcement in the Emperor's voice across the universe saying, the final order is going to be released and you're all doomed and all that shit, right? So Kylo Ren is searching for a wayfinder to go locate Palpatine and take him down, because he's the true Sith and he's the one who's going to rule the universe, not Palpatine. So he goes to search him out. Meanwhile, Rey is training to become a Jedi with Leia at the Resistance base, but eventually has to leave because she feels she has to do exactly what Kylo Ren's doing, find a wayfinder and face down this Sith threat, right? So it's kind of both Kylo and Rey's journeys as they go to confront Palpatine, and how those different experiences go, and how it affects their own relationship, because they have this force link that just keeps getting stronger and stronger, and they can suddenly pass objects through time and space when they meet and greet and stuff like this in this force bond or whatever it is. So and eventually, yeah, it all leads to the confrontation with Palpatine, when after Rey has to go to the planet Pisana with Finn and Poe and Chewie and C-3PO and track down this blade that points the way to the Wayfinder, which is aboard the wreckage of the second Death Star on one of the moons of Endor, after it crashed there. So this big adventure, you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But what I really like about reading the books is that they throw in a lot of extra stuff, motivations behind characters' actions and stuff like that, that you don't quite get in the movie. It doesn't get fleshed out. So, like, for example, in this, the first example is kind of Kylo Ren's experience when he goes to Darth Vader's castle on the planet Mustafar and obtains the Wayfinder, the experience he has to go through there to get it. When they meet up with Lando on planet Pisana, Lando has some internal dialogue with himself you don't see in the movie about his motivation for helping Rey and those guys, and eventually coming back to the Resistance at the end to partake in the final battle. General Pride, who is the one who eventually kills General Hux when he finds out he's a spy. A little more behind his personality and how he's actually a long-standing Imperial officer who has a relationship with Palpatine and wants to see him rise back to glory, and all sorts of stuff. Leia and everybody all have their kind of little thoughts and stuff that help flesh things out. And there's a paragraph that long near the end when Wicket, the Ewok, is on his forest moon of Endor, and is hanging out with his son, saying, after Rey and everybody, they beat Palpatine and the universe is celebrating once again, and Wicket's talking about his son. Yeah, that's our friends that helped us the first time. And Wicket's son is like, was it C-3PO? Because you know how they think he's a god and everything. He's like, oh, I bet C-3PO was up there helping out, right? So it's kind of cool, all the extra stuff that you get in the book that you don't get in the movie. That's why I read them. Plus, I'm a collector. So next up, X-Men: The Dark Phoenix Saga. So this is, of course, based on a long, fleshed-out storyline in the comics about Jean Grey and the X-Men on a mission to save a few of her X-Men friends. They end up on a shuttle up in space, and in the middle of a solar flare. The rest of her comrades lock themselves away in this kind of containment unit in the ship, while Jean Grey takes the brunt of the solar flare's energy while she pilots the ship to safety. And in doing so, it mutates her, and she becomes this Phoenix character who is so powerful, and her telekinesis and her whatever it is just goes out of control. But so does a bunch of rage and other feelings that she has within her that kind of get amplified by it. So she ends up falling prey to a villain named Mastermind, who can make visions and illusions and stuff like that, and he preys on her emotions and stuff like that, and manipulates her into kind of joining his team, who Emma Frost is a part of. They belong to the Hellfire Club, and they're out for, I don't know, some sort of domination, and he kind of manipulates Jean to work for them. And so Cyclops especially is super distraught about this, as are all the X-Men, and so they go to great lengths to track Jean down, try and convince her this isn't the way, bring her back, right? And eventually, after a long battle, they do so. But Jean isn't the same after that. She's still got this darkness within her. And as they're kind of retreating to the mansion or whatever after this mission, she just feels too much pressure when Cyclops is asking her stuff and whatever. And she kind of bursts loose and blasts off into space, and she rockets around outer space, and this activity taps her out, so she consumes a planet to quench her insatiable hunger, and in doing so destroys countless lives, kills tons of people. And so a Shi'ar warship that the queen or whatever it is, Lalandra, is on, who is actually to be wed to Charles Xavier, who has been in outer space this whole time, not with the X-Men, fall witness to Jean's actions and want to bring her to justice, right? So Xavier tries to step in and help out, as do the rest of the X-Men, and as a kind of middle ground, the X-Men, or Xavier, engages some sort of protocol behind the Shi'ar ways of settling things that gives the X-Men and Jean a chance to get out of this situation. So it all culminates in this final battle on Earth's moon, when the X-Men and Jean go up against all of these Shi'ar heroes or whatever, in a battle to determine her fate, sort of thing. So cool story. And of course, one of the X-Men movies, one of the more recent ones, it deals with Jean and her Dark Phoenix kind of persona. So I think this is a storyline that's pretty well known and pretty fleshed out. So that's just basically the adaptation from the comic stories into a mass market paper-bound kind of format. But I think some of the stuff's left out from the comics. But either way, good story. Next up, James and I recently finished playing NHL 12. NHL hockey games, what can you say when you've talked about one, you can pretty much talk about another. They just slowly build on each other each year with the odd little tweak, the odd new feature. NHL 12, the cover athlete was Steven Stamkos of the Tampa Bay Lightning. And reading up on it, the enhancements to this particular installment was you could play the Winter Classic, which started around that year, I guess. And also goalies were a big focus. More animations, more interactions with them. You can actually hit them if they come out of their net and stuff like that. You can fight with the goalies, not just against goalie on goalie, but goalie on skater. So those were kind of the main enhancements, but it's the standard thing. You got all these different modes, like Be a Pro, where you can create your own player, bring them up through the ranks. Just a season mode where you play a season in the playoffs. You can just do playoffs. You can do tournaments where you can do international play, that sort of thing. So I found for NHL 12, the gameplay was really good. I found everything operated pretty smoothly. My only problem with it, and it was very realistic, the games were very tightly scored. Sometimes you'd get a blowout, but most of the time it was pretty close, and you could lose just as often as you could win. But the only thing I didn't like was the hitting. I found it really hard to knock guys over sometimes. Like every once in a while, if you had a guy like Phaneuf or Commissaric when we were playing with the Leafs, you could really mangle a guy. But sometimes you'd take a big monster run at a guy with another player who's not known that much for hitting, and the other guy would just kind of bounce off him, So I found the hitting was a bit too difficult. Not like NHL 20 now, where you can just dismantle people, which makes it so much more fun. But other than the difficulty in hitting, NHL 12 is a really solid game in every way. So another hit for the EA's NHL franchise. Next up, we also finished Lego Marvel Superheroes 2. In this Lego game, Kang the Conqueror is the main foe in this adventure, and he is engaged. The Guardians of the Galaxy engage him as he goes on the attack, and in the meantime, Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. has sent out heroes all over the place, responding to all these other situations of evil fiends getting up to something. And eventually Kang makes his play, and he's actually shrinking down these different areas and putting them inside this kind of zone that he calls Chronopolis. And so it's got Kang's Citadel in the middle, and then all these little places that he shrinks and brings into his fold kind of surround the Citadel. Like he's got Asgard, Hydra headquarters, Manhattan, Avengers Tower, Wakanda, the Old West, all these ancient Egypt, all these different areas. So you basically have to go through all these areas and fight off Kang and his forces and set everything to rights. So it's the standard Lego action. You play levels, and there's red bricks you can unlock to get extras. There's characters you can unlock. There's vehicles you can unlock. And as you make it through the level, you can go back after and play in free play, where you can bring in other characters who have different abilities, so that you can then go back and unlock everything in each level. And then the hub is huge. You've got tons of stuff to collect in the hub as well. The only difference, and it was a tough difference in this Lego game, is that Most times you can find a red brick, or in this game it's a pink brick, it's a Gwenpool brick, that will allow you to basically find all of the items. Like you have a mini kit locator, you have a gold brick locator, you have a character token locator. But in this game, they also have challenges, is what it's called. So there's 10 people in Manhattan trapped in ice blocks. You have to melt them out and save them. There's 10 rings of birds you have to fly through, scattered throughout Chronopolis, that you have to do. So there's tons of these challenges you have to do, and they're really hard to find, and there's no locator for them. So you basically just have to wander around and find them all on your own. So we actually used the internet and some walkthroughs to at least give us an idea of where they are, and we were able to get them all done and get 100% on this game. But if you've watched my gameplay session things, you'll find we almost took, I think, almost 70 separate gameplay sessions to finally, to beat this game all the way through and get 100%. So it's no easy task. Lots of fun though. Next up, we didn't finish this game, and it's my first experience with this franchise, and it's called Destroy All Humans. Big Willy Unleashed. Destroy All Humans is like you control these aliens, and you're basically taking over Earth and destroying humans, basically, right? It's the title is not just a clever thing. It's actually what happens in the game. So there's quite a few games in this franchise, I do believe, and this is kind of more of one that takes place. It was released one of the later ones, but it takes place more near the start, and it takes place in 1975 when the two main characters, the aliens, Poxy and what's his name? I forget the other guy. Are up to something because they have acquired a restaurant called Big Willy, and they're using it as a front to dispose of all the corpses of the people that they kill. So they're serving them up in these burgers and stuff, right, like that, right? So it's really clever plan. The only problem is a girl named Patty Wurst has discovered this and is calling them out on it, right? So it's basically the aliens' adventures in trying to put down these threats to their business, and how they go about it. And eventually the main villain, Colonel Cluckin, or whatever his name is, who's the head of a rival fast food franchise, is up to trying to bring them down. He's the main bad guy behind bringing the aliens down, so you have to kind of get to him. Awesome game, awesome premise, awesome humor between the aliens. They're so funny. Controls were terrible, and I found that's what killed us in the end. We just couldn't get past this one mission where you had to go and abduct people in your spaceship and then put them down on the back of a cruise ship. But no matter how you tried to set them down, like you could get one guy down safely, but then you went out and got the next guy, and you set them down too hard and they died. Like it was just, it didn't respond right. It didn't work right, and it just made the game, unfortunately, unplayable in the end. So, but the missions were doable. It was lots of fun, and I'm sure it would have been fun to complete the game, but sometimes you just got to know when to hold them and know when to fold them, right? And we definitely folded on that game. Last up, AC/DC's 17th studio album called Power Up. Released in 2020, late 2020. I got it the day it was released because AC/DC and Nirvana are my two favorite bands. So anytime, obviously there's no new Nirvana music, but anytime new music is released by AC/DC, I'm there. And this is the first album they did after Malcolm's death a couple years before, or a couple years. Yeah, it was a couple years ago. Yeah. It's more recent, and this is vintage, older AC/DC. They have a particular sound, and this album falls right within it. They didn't try and go off the board, which I don't like it when bands do that. AC/DC knows what works for them, and they keep at it, and that's why they're so huge. This album was a straight up rocker all the way through. Sometimes they can slow the pace of the songs down a bit, even though they're still rockers. This one's pretty much charged straight ahead whole way through, and I think it was meant as a dedication to Malcolm. And it also brings back Brian Johnson, who had that hearing problem or whatever it was. So Axl Rose was touring with the band for a while there. So it kind of everybody's back in the fold. Phil Rudd's back on drums, Cliff Williams on bass, Angus on lead, Brian on the vocals, and the other young brother Stevie takes Malcolm's place. So it's kind of nice to see that, and to see them kick out another album, because they're no spring chickens, right? But they still rock like hell. So this album, my favorite songs will probably be, let's see, Rejection, Shot in the Dark, Through the Mist of Time. That one's a little different, but it's really good. Demon Fire is really good. Systems Down's good, and then The Money Shot is really good too. So there's the whole thing is just a consistent, fast-paced, awesome listen all the way through. So if you haven't got this yet and you like AC/DC, I would very much recommend going to get it. And if you don't know AC/DC or don't think you like them, just go buy their whole discography, because you will not be disappointed. So that's all I got for now, those 7 items. Hopefully I'm within 20 minutes so I can actually post this, but we'll see soon enough, and hopefully I will get this posted soon enough, and I will be back with more as soon as I can.